Wow, look at this panel. And I want to start off, if you've never been here before at this conference, this panel of top senior enlisted is a first for the open session. And all I can say, it's been about time. So I have been coming to this conference since '02, and I can recall I was telling somebody earlier today, I think maybe Force Martinez, we were talking, I think one of my first conferences was when, then it was Colonel Salinas and I were on a leadership panel together. Do you remember that, Colonel? Major? General? Yeah, I'll figure it out. Anyway, I don't want to delay. We have a great opportunity here today with 4 very, very distinguished women that are well accomplished in each of their career fields. And what I want to do is just, we'll take an opportunity to do some quick introductions and give them an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about kind of how long they've served, where they're at right now, and anything special that they want to kind of share with you that can get us going. So let's go ahead and start with you, Fleet.
Thanks, Jackie. Fleet Master Chief April Bell, had a wonderful pleasure of celebrating my 30-year anniversary on the 10th of May a couple of weeks ago. And background is aviation. And my last job was at Naval Education Training Command as a Force Master Chief. And now I'm working for CNP's office as the Fleet Master Chief for Manpower Personnel Training and Education. And I have the wonderful opportunity to just have a nephew who I adopted back in 2006. He had his 20th year birthday yesterday, so I'm thinking, either he's getting older or I'm getting wiser, it doesn't matter. But he's in college and he's in summer school, so he's doing some great things. And one of my responsibilities I'll share with all you is to serve you. That's why I continue doing what I do, is because of each and every one of you out there. You all give me inspiration, you all motivate me. It doesn't matter that I'm about to turn 50 years old. If it wasn't for you all, I would not be doing what I'm doing today. So that's a little bit about Fleet Master Chief April Bell. Hoo-ya!
All right. Master Guns.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? Very good. Master Gunnery Sergeant Rongelette Green. I reign from Little Rock, Arkansas. I've been in the Marine Corps. This summer will be 23 years. I'll be turning 42 this year. Currently, I'm at Marine Corps Base Quantico. I work at Marine Corps University. That's where we train some of our finest officers for higher education and military studies, and also where our enlisted go and do follow-on training with their leadership and guidance, and I take great pleasure in it. And so this is my first time attending this symposium, and I'm so happy to be here. I came here with a mindset. I'm going to leave here with a stronger mindset. I love what I see out in the audience. I love the support. I'm happy to be here. I see a lot of hungry faces looking for things just like this. So thank you for allowing me to be here on stage today.
Wonderful, thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Master Chief Penny Coons. I'm the Command Master Chief for the Director of Operational Logistics in Norfolk, Virginia. I was born in New York, but raised in Florida. I'm from Seminole, Florida. I have 27 years in the service. That includes, I'm prior service Air Force. Did 4 years there, and the rest of that has been the Coast Guard. I too enjoy giving back. One of my great pleasures is to be able to mentor, coach our junior folks, our senior folks. I really enjoy being part of this organization as the Coast Guard and love giving back. And I too am just pleased to be here today. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Chief Master Sergeant Trey King. I am from Cleveland, Ohio. Any Buckeyes? I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been in the Air Force for 20... I've been in the Air Force for 28 years. I am stationed at Joint Base Anacostia Bowling down in Hampton, Virginia. This is my 3rd joint base, so to be along up here on this panel, I kind of feel at home since I'm at a joint base already, so I'm familiar with the other branches, sister service, so I really appreciate that. I am a grandmother of 2. I know I don't look like it.
doesn't at all.
I told my daughter they have to call me Grandma or something like that. This is my third opportunity to come to the symposium, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you. So one of the things, since the theme of the conference is Stronger Self, Stronger Service, let me just toss this out. Talk about your greatest strength and how does it contribute right now to your organization and to the service? Anybody who wants to start off?
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay.
I think my greatest strength is my innate ability to relate to people. You know, sometimes when you're in a leadership position, especially as a female, you come in like She-Ra and you want to kick the door down. Well, some of us probably still do that. But for me, that's not my leadership style. So I think my ability to relate to people on their level, whether it's an airman I'm talking to or whether I'm having a conversation with a general, just being able to relate to them on their level has been very beneficial for me.
Okay.
And what I would like to add to that, when I saw the theme of stronger self, stronger service, I thought about us as leaders, and we're all leaders in this room, as making sure that we're taking care of ourselves up here. You know, we have to have our mind straight. We have to make sure that we're okay with ourselves. It's very difficult to go out there and lead somebody and be part of a service if you're not okay with yourself. So I thought, what an outstanding thing is, here's an opportunity for us to talk about, let's get self right. And I believe if we get self right, everything else will come into play.
Anybody else want to talk about your greatest strength? And
I think one of my greatest strengths are my sense of humor, and although I haven't told a joke or anything, but I think you have
but
to
you're
have
funny.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But you have to have a sense of humor, and you don't always have to take yourself so seriously. There's a time and a place for humor. I truly believe that. But along with that humor is, I feel I have a great amount of influence from our newest people coming into the Coast Guard at boot camp to interacting with the Commandant, interacting with admirals, everyone in between. I think I'm one of those kind of people that you can trust and you can connect with. And it just seems to be one of those traits that I happen to have.
Well, for me, I will go ahead and say this. I think at each military rank I've held, something has changed as you continue to grow. So now at this level as an E9, to go along with what everything that the ladies have said here on stage, I'd like to add on, I have the unique and fabulous responsibility for my service is to take care of my Marines. That's what makes my heart beat, makes my heart pump. My ability to keep them promotable and retain in the military service and try to provide and do whatever I need to do and get the resources to take care of my Marines and my troops. So that's one of my greatest assets, and I find that at this particular rank in this stage in life, I use it daily. One of my greatest strengths right now.
you know, each of you have had some very unique, challenging assignments and everything. And I want to go to you, Fleet, and go back when you were on Carl Vinson, Command Master Chief for the USS Carl Vinson. And I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were our third female CMC for an aircraft carrier. And that's a huge job. You want to talk a little about some of those challenges and rewards in that particular assignment? And give us an idea of what the Chief's Mess looked like, if you will. Okay. Makeup.
All right. Well, reported aboard the USS Carl Vinson in October of 2009. She was in the shipyard in Newport News, Virginia. And she was completing a 3.5-year overhaul, as we say. Basically, we had stripped her all the way down and brought her back up. And I came aboard in October, and we were getting out in January. And so I only had to be there for approximately 8 weeks before we went over to Norfolk. But I tell you, that 8 weeks for me, once the shipyard has basically owned the ship for 3.5 years, and you're trying to bring sailors back into the fold, and yes, this is our ship, and we never gave it away, but as those shipyard workers start walking off and we start walking back on and we take ownership, I think that was challenging. And we went over to Norfolk, we got out of the shipyard. I tell you, in the 8 weeks I was there, I would never, ever, ever wish that on anybody. I need sailors to be able to do that, but I would not wish that duty on anybody. So we got over to Norfolk, and we left Norfolk after getting everybody on the ship, and this is how we're going to do it. And Air Wing 17 came aboard, and we left Norfolk, heading to San Diego, home port change, in January. And I don't know if anybody remembers what happened in January 2010. But we were just heading down south. We're going to go around. We're going to come back and end up in San Diego. And do you remember the Haiti incident? That's what happened to the USS Carl Vinson. We were the only ones out there at the time, and they had to, get together the plan. But I tell you what, we have the Air Wing on board. We have that crew on board. Never been together. Ship's been laid up for the last 4 years. And to watch 5,000 sailors come together in 48 hours. We were on station, and we were doing and acting like sailors do as a team, working as a crew, and making sure that we got relief, the first ones on station to get relief to Haiti. I tell you what, challenging, absolutely. Eye-watering, and I didn't do anything. I did not do anything. But I watched those 5,000 sailors rock. And I was like, whatever, I can do this for the rest of my life. Booyah!
Thanks, April. Master Chief Coons, you played a big role during the crisis down in New Orleans when Katrina hit. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the leadership challenges or successes you had during that time and some lessons learned?
Absolutely. Excuse me. When I went down there to Katrina, I was actually assigned down there to a team. It was a CISM team, Critical Incident Stress Management team. They went down there to help out our sailors, to help out the families, to make sure that they were getting everything that they needed, the support, the resources. We were there for them for 2 weeks. We saw all kinds of devastation, our team did. We were there to assist and keep things going, and we did just that. As far as the challenges went, the challenges were where we lived, where we stayed. That was pretty challenging because there really wasn't anything in the area. So we ended up staying in trailers, in the heat. But it was something that I will never forget, because there was so much devastation everywhere we looked. So after that CISM, we needed CISM, and that's indeed what we got. I know that sounds kind of funny, but it really wasn't. Each of us needed the CISM as well, and we got to be able to do that after the fact. So I'm really proud of that, because one, we also received some awards for that as a team, and we also were there for the Coast Guard when they needed us, and the rest of the community for that matter.
Great. Well, thank you. There's a lot of great things each of you have done in your career, and there's challenges all the way. Would anybody care to talk a little bit about maybe what's been your leadership Achilles heel, if you will, and that issue that you routinely struggle with or had struggled with for quite some time and finally found a way to overcome it and deal with it? Can you talk a little bit about that?
My Achilles heel is learning how to say no. In the Air Force, I was a single parent coming up. My parents died when I was very young. So when I came in the military, I really didn't have a support group. And as you progress up through the military, there are so many requirements that you have to do to get to the level that we're at right now. So I would volunteer for everything. I would try to go to school. I would try to be great at work and stay at work 10 and 12 hours. And I went to a conference one time, and I heard a woman tell me, no is a full sentence. So learning how to say no, that I can't volunteer for everything, and empowering our younger airmen to do things helped me to develop, and that was my Achilles heel.
All right. Anybody else? Master Guns, do you have an Achilles heel you want to talk about?
I think if I were to take a look at it, I'd say probably along the same lines. In my particular MOS, I'm customer service related, so I teach my Marines in my office, and my intent is we always come from a place of yes. So our job is to make sure we provide a good customer service administratively to all of our staff there at Marine Corps University. There's a huge amount of personnel, both student and permanent personnel faculty. So just trying to manage and try to take care of everyone so they can keep their focus on their studies and can continue on with their mission, and so that we can take care of them. So it's really difficult to try and say that no. I believe in coming from a place of yes and try to produce a great product to those military. And at Marine Corps University, we've got all the sister services there. We've got the international students that are there. So trying to put a good front and do a great job with them is very important to me. So I don't think it's Achilles for me personally, but I know it can be a challenge. I think I've pretty much got a good grasp on it. I work with a great group of young Marines, and one of the biggest things I try to do with them is make sure I arm them with all the information that they need so they can work and react sufficiently on their own. So I feel very confident. I've got a great staff. So every day my job is just to complete the mission. And if I can't complete that mission, I need to take a look at what is keeping me from doing so. So I have a great time doing that and continue to work at it. I love what I do.
Master Chief,
My Achilles for my leadership would be, I don't have enough time in the day. I just don't. It would be nice to have more time. I'm able to say no when I need to say no, but it sure would be nice to have more time to accomplish more. I would say that was it.
do you want to add a, okay. So, well, one of the most important roles the senior enlisted play in the development of within their force is not just the development of enlisted, but they play a unique role in the mentoring and grooming and development of the junior officers. So can you talk a little bit about the advice that you can provide to make this a very rewarding experience for both parties, for the senior enlisted and our junior officers?
I'll take that one. I'll tell you what, much like my junior Marines, I love to get a nice young officer and try to
square their uniform away.
I like to get, first off, I love both officer and enlisted. I love my Marine Corps institution. So anything that I can do, I like to say put some of my DNA into them. I love to do it. A lot of times, for you out there, I'm sure you still run into this and just got to remind yourself, we're here to complete a mission, right? But you also need to be able to make that sound decision. We can't always be yes ma'ams or yes sirs. Sometimes you have to actually speak up and put your big girl things on and say no. You know, there's times where you have to make a decision, take a look at the safeties. We all know about the operational risk management. We all know about the work hours. You know what your mission is, and there's times where you got to go and talk to the boss and kind of sit down and speak on behalf of your Marines. And for me, with my officers, I enjoy speaking with them. I like the fact that they seek information from me as well. And lately, where I'm at Marine Corps University, I see a lot of Marine Corps officers there. And so as they're going through their training and they're going through the schoolhouse, I love when they step to the side and they ask me some questions, because they're away from their home base for about 10 months to a year. So they're away from enlisted Marines for the longest. And so I have the ability to kind of sit there and talk to them and keep them informed on what's going on with the troops. That's my mission there, is keep them informed on what's going on with our junior Marines and our troops.
Okay.
If I could answer that one. I think one of our responsibilities as senior enlisted leaders is, first and foremost, is to lead with integrity. To lead with integrity. And sometimes we will get put in positions where we forget, and I believe I was reading the Navy ethos when I got to the new job. There's a poster on the wall. And I've read through it 1,000 times. But this particular time, every time you go to a new command, you have to figure out, you know, how you fit. So I'm reading the Navy ethos poster, and I come across one little sentence, and it says, integrity is the foundation of conduct, period. Real simple, real simple. So I think my responsibility is, first of all, is to make sure that my integrity is in check 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, whether I'm off duty or I'm on duty. That's what being a leader is to me. So as I walk in front of my enlisted sailors and I stand and talk to them about expectations and behavior and respect for each other, I need to have credibility when I say that. So I need to make sure that I'm in check. And then when I talk to the junior officers, we have that conversation. And I can appreciate the fact that they have enough respect for my position in the Navy that they can come and ask me those questions, just like Master Guns was saying. But I also appreciate the fact that when I have to pull them to the side and explain to them, I understand that you're 27 years old. And I understand that you're no older than that second class or that first class, or furthermore, that chief in your work center. But sir, ma'am, I need for you to be the officer. I need for you to gain credibility with your division. I need for them to respect the fact that you are an officer in the United States Navy. So we all have a responsibility here in this, in this organization that we're in. So everybody fits. You're management, I'm executioner. So they need to make sure that they know where their responsibility is, and it's my responsibility to tell them that. And then when the triad gets together, it's my responsibility to have those difficult conversations. Sir, we're getting ready to go down a road of destruction. Listen to us as a mess. And I think that's what my responsibility, and that's my challenge is. And I know, again, every day I wake up and look in the mirror, I understand that each and every one of you, just like you're doing now, you're looking at me. Let me just wait for her to mess up. No, not gonna happen. Who ya?
I have a slightly different perspective. I would always encourage our officers to embrace the relationship that you have with your enlisted folks. Because if you don't have a relationship with them, when it comes to suicide or sexual assault or having a financial problem or just having a hard day, they won't feel comfortable coming to talk to you because they feel you're too elite. You're here and we're down here. And the truth of the matter is, the relationship is so important. If we want to stamp out some of these problems that we're having within our military, that relationship between the enlisted and the officer corps is vitally important. So I would just, and the truth of the matter is, our E5s, E6s, and E7s are the backbone of all of our services. So if you really want the technical expertise, those are the folks that you need to talk to and depend on. And it doesn't matter if you're a colonel and this is a staff sergeant E5, that relationship is so important. So I would encourage you to embrace that relationship. Don't cross the line of fraternization. Just embrace the relationship.
Don't physically embrace it.
Not physically embrace it. Sometimes. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to add on to Chief Master Sergeant, because you made a really good point. Stephen Covey, who's the author of 7 Highly Effective People, one of his habits, I think it's the 4th one, says, seek to understand and then be understood. I think that falls right in line with the respect that you need going into that mentoring relationship. You really need to understand one another before that relationship can develop and before you can actually start mentoring. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what Chief was saying.
I think trust and confidence. Whenever I check into a new unit, as always, and I sit down with the boss and I listen to the boss's intent, I hope that I can be able to display and show that they can rely on me and have trust and confidence in me. And that's the first step you've got to give with your boss, in my personal opinion. And that way you can start developing that relationship. They can trust your word, they can trust your guidance, and trust that you can take care of the mission. So if I can establish and keep that rapport with my boss and have the trust and confidence, I think that's great. If my boss and I can sit down and talk and discuss the troop issues, and if I can say to her, I've got it, ma'am, or this is something I'm going to need you to come in and get involved in, that's a great working relationship. But the only way I can gain that trust and confidence out of my boss is if I perform. I got to take a look at my proficiency and my conduct. Am I technically sound in my job? Am I making the great decisions that need to be done? Are the troops taken care of? Are we taking care of them regardless if it's training? It's something personal at home or if it's something in the workspace. So that's the best way for me to develop that relationship with my officer. And then go have a sit down. How am I doing? How are things going? Do you see or are there any concerns? Are we where we need to be? If not, how do we adjust it? And I'll execute the mission as appropriate. And hopefully, with that trust and confidence, I would give some advice and some guidances from her or to him as well.
You know, it's no surprise that, you know, women in all the services make up the minority of the workforce, of the forces. So as you go on, as each of you are in very senior enlisted leadership roles, do you have any concerns, or how do you prepare to go into an environment that is male-dominated, or I should say where the population is mostly male, not necessarily male-dominated? How do you go prepare to lead in an organization like that? Is it a concern? Do you have any things that go through your mind, or anticipation about that assignment? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'll take that one. 2002, I'm in Southern California, San Diego. We heard of that beautiful place? Woohoo! San Diego is where we have one of two Marine Corps training depots, San Diego. I received a phone call that says to me, at the time I was Gunnery Sergeant Green, Gunny, I need you to go to MCRD San Diego and put on a Marine Corps drill instructor cover. So what that means is, at MCRD San Diego, that's where they make and train male Marines only. Females, we go to Beaufort, South Carolina. That's where our females go, and both female and male go there. So the opportunity for me to go and train in a male-dominant Marine Corps training facility was a little daunting. So there's a couple things I had to do. Definitely make sure I took a look at myself and make sure I fit the bill. Get myself prepared in order to go to this place. I knew what was expected of me. I knew probably there could be some frowns, possibly. So the best thing I could do is just focus on my particular mission. I knew there was a male-dominant facility. I knew it was a male-dominant persona, and I knew that I was going to be the kid that's not dressed like the other. So as long as I focused on what needed to be done, I made sure I was mentally prepared. I made sure I was physically prepared. I reported in, and I did the job, and I think successfully, and enjoyed myself. And what happened is, like most times, people kind of size you up and try to see who you are and what you're about, and I think the work is what's going to speak for itself, and how you conduct yourself and how you handle certain situations. And it turned out to be a very successful tour there at San Diego for me.
To be successful in that job, did you find that you had to compromise any of your values to fit in, or, you know, how you carried yourself to be, you know, one of the other DIs, one of the guys?
I did not have to compromise. I didn't. Only thing I had to do was make sure that I did a couple things. Make sure I represent the Marine Corps very well and represent myself very well. Just had to make sure I was prepared and to be able to do my job. And that's the only thing I had to be concerned about. And in the Marine Corps, in particular, in this particular situation, the male counterparts around me, they just fell into step. It just happened naturally. It wasn't a big deal as much as I thought it was going to be. It was definitely testing and a time for me that I was very concerned about that, but it was, I think I earned those stripes and performed as I should.
What I would like to add on to that, and Master Gunn said it a couple of times, I had to make sure that I was confident in my own skin. I had to make sure that I prepared myself. I had to make sure and I'm sure you had to go through some training before you did that,
Oh,
right?
I went through some training.
So when she was training, when she was training to be that drill sergeant, she made sure that she had all the information that she needed to have so that she could be successful. And the reason why I'm emphasizing that words in this group is, like we've heard all throughout the day, if I know what I can do, there is nobody else around me that is going to tell me different. And if I prepare myself for whatever situation that I am going into, once I walk in there and I've got that credibility, there's nobody going to be able to say anything about me or what I'm doing because they'll say, guess she, what? DI, who, what? Don't mess with her. She knows what she's talking about. And that's what I'm trying to share with us. You know, so many times we're concerned about what they're going to say. Well, what happens when I walk into a room? How are they going to look? Who cares? Make sure that you have your stuff in check. And I guarantee you, there will be nothing happening but success. And that's what you got sitting up on the stage. This is success, and I just want to share that with you. And it's because confidence, high self-esteem, worried about the person looking at you in the mirror. That's who you need to worry about. And that other stuff, gravy. Did I do all right, Chief Master? Okay.
She needs to write a book.
Any other stories or comments along that?
She got it.
You got it? I know, like, how do you follow that, right? Well, you know, it can't be all work. So how do you wind down? What do you do to balance your life? Because it cannot be just work. And even though I suspect a good deal of it is maybe a little out of balance, but you know, one of the things we want to try to let folks know here is there needs to be time for you. So how do you take time for you? What do you do?
Well,
Here.
I have 5 children and 2 grandsons, so that keeps me plenty busy. I'm very proud of them. Yes, thank you. But I am an avid runner. I love to run. I just run my worries or whatever's on my mind off. I'm like Forrest Gump, just keep running. I love to run. But I also enjoy going to church. I enjoy going to the SPCA to walk dogs. I enjoy my 2 dogs. I do a lot of things that help ground me. So,
I think I want to hear too, in addition to what you're going to say, about your writing abilities. She's a published author, by the way. The Chief is a published author.
I was going to say I watched Scandal.
Good stuff.
Is that where your writing abilities come from?
I wish. Well, I do write. I write poetry. Being a single parent, being a woman, being in love, being out of love, you know, all that kind of stuff. That kind of creates those artistic skills. So I like to write about things and about people and about life. So that kind of gives me some downtime. Like you, I like to go to church and hang out with my friends, a few that's in the audience. And I love sports, so avid football fan and things like that. So I kind of decompress that way.
Good.
This past Saturday, I was whitewater rafting. I don't know if that's a start right there. I tell you what, and it's something that I preach with young Marines, junior Marines, senior Marines. I preach it myself. Off-duty education is top and number 1 in my book. I like to offer the opportunity to get every single one of my troops to the education center, get a chance to sit down and talk to a counselor, do some college one-on-one studies. So myself, if I'm not at work, I'm with University of Maryland. If I'm not there, I'm whitewater rafting. If I'm not there, I'm doing something that's going to allow me to step away from work, decompress, re-energize my battery so I can go back into work and perform the best I can be. So I love outdoor activities. I just adopted a Yorkie, so that little thing is keeping me busy. Bless his heart, old Harley. But those are some of the things that's helped me, and I definitely encourage it with my Marines. We have a program called Single Marine Program, and the Single Marine Program offers all these opportunities for the Marines to go out and get away from work and do things, horseback riding, much of the same thing, whitewater rafting. So I also encourage the troops to take advantage of all these activities that our military offers, whether it be with the Marine Corps, whether it be with the sister services. The USO is awesome. I love to push the USO and all the activities and events that it has. So just like myself, the work is never going to go away. The mission is never going to go away. The tempo will probably fluctuate hot and cold every now and then. So I have to show them by example on how to conduct myself and do some things outside of work so I can recharge.
And I think we've all talked about it, is basically taking care of ourselves mentally and physically. A lot of physical activity going on. I like Zumba. I've learned in the last year that I've been doing Zumba. I thought all these years, you know, just based on my background, I had rhythm and I could dance. Can't do either one of them in Zumba, but I still go and I enjoy it. And really, I think it's the physical portion of it. And I'm the type of person, I'll be honest with you, it took me a long time to get here, but I can let it go. Things that I have no control over, I just have to let it go. You know, you do what you're supposed to do. You take care of the mission. You help those, you know, service members that you've been, you know, put in charge of. And then at the end of the day, you look yourself in the mirror. Did I do everything that I was supposed to do today? Because you take one day at a time, today. And if you can say yes, you've done it good that day, and then you just turn it off. And I can turn it off in a minute. I just turn it off when I get home. Shut the door. Don't call me now. I'm done. I'm done for the day. No, that's not true. But my point is though, is that, again, that self thing. I really believe that's important. That's important that we take care of ourselves, you know, and then when we take care of ourselves, we can take care of, and I think that's what Jackie's talking about, is how are you able to do what you do professionally and still be able to be who you are as a person. And I think that's taking care of ourselves.
Right. So let me ask this. It is fairly uncommon, or I'll just put it this way. The number of senior enlisted women at the top of the ranks, even in the career paths that you were in, is not very great when you look at the overall numbers across the board. You represent 1%. The top 1%. So what motivated you to pursue this path when so many choose not to?
Well, I'm gonna
Go
tell
ahead.
you, I grew up a C student. I mean, literally in school, nothing extra, nothing special. So I really didn't have any aspirations to do a whole lot of anything. Like I said, my parents died when I was very young. So I didn't have any future goals or anything. And I saw a recruiter, he came to the school, and I joined the Air Force only because his uniform looked good, not to travel, not for education. None of those things. But once I got into the military, once I joined the military, the family and the folks that I was surrounded with, they inspired me. My story inspired them, and their story inspired me. So it just encouraged me to pursue excellence, you know, through the years. And that's what I've tried to do. And as I was on that path, somebody grabbed me along and helped me. You know, I didn't see any female senior leaders. E8s and E9s growing up. It was all male-based, all males. So as I started to progress, when those were pulling me along, I said, man, my goal was to be a master sergeant at E7. That's it, because they got to curse and they got to sit in their office and drink coffee and curse. I mean, you know. So I thought that was the coolest thing. You become a master sergeant, you are God. In the Navy, E7 is God. Chief in the Navy is like, so really that was my goal. But someone saw something in me and inspired me and encouraged me. So now that I've gotten to this rank, I think it's so important to encourage and inspire other, especially young ladies. If a poor little girl from Cleveland, Ohio, who had all the odds against her can make it, then anybody can make it.
Absolutely.
For me, I often tell my Marines as we sit down and we do these powwows at the end of the day or at the end of the week before we go on liberty, you know, as you give them their liberty brief and you talk about and ask the questions, where are you going, you know, what's your plan, who's going to be there, you get all the 5 W's, and I'm trying to remind them I wasn't always Master Gunnery Sergeant Green. Trust me, I was not. So, you know, you're looking at a little girl who graduated from Little Rock, Arkansas in 1990, some moons ago. And at the time, much like yourself, I didn't have that stable background with the family. So I was looking for something. I was needing something. I wasn't quite sure. I was actually in Navy ROTC, junior ROTC. So I was focused on going to the Navy junior ROTC I'm in my last year, senior year, and then I get this retired Marine Corps Sergeant Major checks in. He's on the program. And something about that Sergeant Major just made it snap in my mind. I was like, I like what he's got, and I want some of that right there. So he started talking to me more about this Marine Corps thing, And I was like, well, I remember John Wayne was in a Marine Corps movie. And I remember the Marines hymn. I love the way it sounds. Let me go try that. And then they told me it was real tough. And I said, well, you know what? I like tough. I can take tough. Let me get some of that, too. So my goal originally was to join and just do one contract. One contract and I'm out of here. You know, y'all give the peace sign. That was my thing. I was going to do one contract and go away. I got into this organization and I started taking a look at all those things I was missing as probably a young kid. The camaraderie, I started looking at some of those things, the brotherhood and the sisterhood, and I was like, you know, I like some of that. I'm not ready to be done yet, so let me try and re-enlist one more time. My aspirations was to become a corporal, an E4. An E4 in the Marine Corps is our backbone. I want to be this person who was in charge of formations. I want to be this person who told me to go do field day. I wanted to tell other people to go do field day. I wanted to be the one that I got a chance to go sit in front of my staff NCO. He or she gave me some guidance and I ran with it and I went and passed it out to the troops. I wanted to be that E4. I got to the E4 and I was like, well, you know, I'm not done. I want some more. I didn't really aspire to become an E9, a Master Gunnery Sergeant. I just kept saying, I'm having a good time. I love the environment I'm working with, and I started learning more about the Marine Corps and what it is we do and why we do it and why we need to be here. And I said, I'm not done. I want more of that. And in the meantime, I get to go to school. I get to have a relationship with people, much like these ladies after today. So these are the things that inspired me, and I couldn't wait to continue to try and see what I could do. Now at E9, I'm happy to be here, and I love to do what I'm doing right now, is taking care of folks and junior Marines and junior sailors. I've actually got some of those calling me. So this is what I love to do. Each contract was some other goal. And so I feel like those were some of the game things that I was going for and what I pushed for.
Wonderful. Do you have anything you want to add? Anything to add?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
I don't mind. For me, it actually started out in high school. One of my teachers suggested that everyone in the classroom take a break, pull out a piece of paper and a pen, and I'd like for you to write down your 5-year plan, your goal. Write it down, and in 5 years, I'm going to mail it to you. So I had known, I don't know where it came from, but I just knew I wanted to be part of the military. I was very patriotic. I wanted to serve my country. So I wrote on that piece of paper, I want to be in the Air Force in 5 years from now.
That's what I'm talking about.
So go forward, 5 years. I received that letter at Bitburg Air Force Base in 1890. See, there's that humor. And that dyslexia. In 1989, I received that letter, and I opened that letter with so much pride, I couldn't believe it. What I wrote down actually came true. And that's why to this day, I really believe that goal setting is very important. Setting your goals for yourself is crucial to achieve what you want to achieve in this Coast Guard. And I ask myself that question every day, how did I get here? How did I get to be an E9? But what a pleasure it is to be able to give back, to pay it forward, to give back to each and every one of you and to anyone that I come in contact with. That's my job, that's my role, and that's my responsibility, and I do it with pride.
That's awesome.
And I think I'm trying not to echo the same thing, but if anybody would have said, April, you're going to be in the Navy for 30 years, and you're going to be a Fleet Master Chief, I just wouldn't have seen that. And bottom line is I was in a small town, and I was enrolled in college, and it just wasn't working for me. I wasn't a student. I was enrolled. You heard me say enrolled. I didn't go. I was enrolled. Okay, you know how easy it is when you're in college. Nobody's calling the parents and telling them you didn't show up today. So I thought, you know, if I could just go in the military, and if I could just get 4 years of discipline, and get some structure in my life. I'll get out after 4 years, and then I'll go back to college, and we'll be good to go. And I'm an Air Force brat. My dad was in the Air Force, so I did attempt to go into the Air Force. For some reason, they didn't want me. I'm okay with that today, okay? I really am, you know? But no, and I went 4 years, and after being in the Navy for 4 years, and like Master Gunn said, it's being a part of an organization that I believed had some opportunities for me. First duty station was the Republic of the Philippines in 1983. Ouch. You don't send an 18-year-old female to the Philippines in 1983. But I did it, and I learned a lot of stuff, and I saw a lot of stuff there. I really did. And it wasn't all good stuff, and I'm not going to tell you what I saw and what I did. But anyway, after that 4 years, before you knew it, I was raising my right hand again. And I remember making Chief Petty Officer. And I went on board the USS Kitty Hawk as a Chief Petty Officer. Who y'all Kitty Hawk? And there is this HMC who made HMCS on board the Kitty Hawk, and she was going to let us females know how we were supposed to act as sailors. That was HMCS Jackie DeRosa. Oh. Yes, I remember that. And I would look at her and I would say, again, doesn't do anything wrong. You mean I have to do everything right now? You know, and then as I went on, I met people like Command Master Chief Von Banks. Now, Command Master Chief Von Banks was MSCM Banks, getting ready to be Command Master Chief Banks at 14 years, okay? Came to the RTC when I was up there. I'm looking going, you mean I can be a Master Chief one day? And then there was a Force Master Chief retired Martinez. Oh, they just really setting the bar too high for me. But I tell you what, those are the women that were in the Navy then, and Master Chief Banks, where are you? Master Chief Banks, you out there? Can say, are you out there? She's gone, okay. Master Chief Banks is gonna retire in October after 30 years, but those women are my mentors. They're the one who have paved the way for me to get to where I am today, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't know any better. And they serve with distinction. They serve with integrity. And never, ever, ever did I see them compromise any of their leadership roles because they were in a group that was male dominant. So I said, look, if they can do it, surely I can hang out for a minute or two. And here we are today. And you know, that's all she wrote. So that's why I do what I do.
One thing I noticed when I first came in 1990, other than the drill instructor that trained me as soon as I got on the yellow footprints of Paris Island, South Carolina, after I graduated boot camp, I didn't see any other senior enlisted females for quite some time. So after my drill instructor, who I vowed never ever want to see again, I never want to be anywhere near them, I'm out in the Fleet Marine Corps Force, and I'm looking for someone who I can resemble, someone who I can try to emulate, and someone who I can try and get some guidance from on how do I go, steer me in the right direction. And for quite some time, I didn't see that. So since I've been in the military up until this day, that's been one of my biggest goals, is to try and be that person that people who see me or come across and have dealings with me, hopefully they can pull something out of me and say, you know, I like what she's doing. I like what she stands for. I like her character. She's got those core values. She's trying to maintain her physical fitness. She's motivating. She's trying to talk to the Marines. I want to be just like her. And I often find out, we've got this thing in the Marine Corps called the mentorship program. And so, you know, you want to assign a mentor to one of the Marines. You want to make sure that the Marine has got a mentor. And in my mind, I'm saying, okay, that's great, I like that. I always find that people assign me as their mentor. When people seek and look for me, that makes me happy. If I've got Marines who are trying to reach out to me from other duty stations years ago, and they're looking for advice, or they want me to pin on their next rank, or they want me to come to that baptism of their children, that speaks a lot for me that they've chosen me to be their mentor, not someone that was appointed to them. So that was my goal as I started moving up in the ranks. I wanted to be that person that I didn't see when I first came in. And so as I look around in this room, I'm happy to see that there's so many more of us right now, and I love it. Just know that someone's always watching you. Someone's always watching you.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit. You know, the combat exclusion law has been lifted, and probably the services that are going to have the greatest impact on this really is the Marine Corps and the Army with assignments. Not only kind of with that, in looking at the roles and the opportunities women have had such far. I mean, we have across, whether it's in the battlefield, in the airspace, on the seas, our women have served exceptionally already. And so now we have some greater opportunities. So given that, one, there are some particular concerns that you have, and anybody could speak on this. And two, with the exception of how we've served, should we increase the number of women that we currently have serving in the service? Because right now, I think Marine Corps is sitting about 8-10%. Navy's about 18. Coast Guard's a little bit more. 13-14%. And probably close to about, yeah. I mean, what's keeping us from doubling those numbers? And think about that. Any comments on that? Concerns, issues, challenges? Any thoughts and opinions?
For me, you mentioned Marine Corps and Army. We're probably one of the two services that's in the forefront. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I'll say this, especially in particular with combat. As long as whoever takes Marines out to the battlefield is qualified, I'm happy with that. As long as they're qualified, they can execute the mission. They've shown themselves to be knowledgeable, both proficient and technical in their field, can take care of the Marines, bring them, or take them to war and bring them back. I'm okay with that. I don't have a strong opinion. I support it. And I'm interested to see how things go from here.
Can the Marine Corps, whether the number of women doubled in the Marine Corps, went from 8 to 16%?
Pardon me?
If the number of women in the Marine Corps doubled, if you went from 8 to 16%, positive, negative? Any idea for impact? I mean, that's significant double, increase. Same thing with any of the services.
Well,
concerns?
As far as our population gaining percentage, I think that's a positive thing. I think that as long as we have the pool of people, a pool of women to recruit from, I don't think the Navy has a problem with that. I think we embrace it, we encourage it. I think we're making some strides to move towards that way with regards to all of our ratings are now, except for a few, open to women in the Navy, so they can go into those technical ratings so they don't have to see those boundaries. I think it's important that we market that so they know that. But if we rose up to 22 to 50%, I don't see anybody saying that, no, we can't handle that many women in the United States Navy. I think we would embrace it.
Absolutely. Qualified. If you meet the standards, bring it on. Join the Marine Corps.
No, they're going to join the Navy.
We're going to fly high with the Air Force.
Or the Air Force. Or the Air Force. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Hoorah!
Yeah, I think the Coast Guard would be more than happy to double in numbers, but I think a concern that all of us need to think about in terms of our respective services is keeping those women. That's something that's really means a lot to me in terms of we've got them, now we want to keep those women in there. So there's women that sit on a panel like this and we don't even blink an eye at it so that it becomes a normal.
No, you don't have to comment if you don't want to. But we're going to open it up here for some questions here from the audience in a little bit. But the senior enlisted have a reputation of being able to tell it straight. And in fact, particularly in each of your positions and assignments, working for senior officers, there's an expectation from our senior officers that we do tell it straight, that we are an advisor and a counselor. So we have a lot in this audience here, a large contingency of very senior officers, senior leadership across all of our services. Is there anything specifically that you would like to convey, to talk to recommend or discuss with the group here from your perspective as the senior enlisted?
We get to tell it like it is.
You can tell what it is, as long as you're respectful, of
I
course.
was just kidding. I was just kidding. Fortunately for me, my last two, many of my bosses have given me the latitude and other senior leaders the latitude, the opportunity to speak freely and to speak openly and to be able to give them a true assessment of what's going on our installations. So I don't feel like I have to go around shaking my finger, contrary to popular belief. We're not the housewives of the armed forces, running around telling people what to do. So the leaders that I've had the opportunity to work with have opened up that aperture where we can be honest in a respectful manner, and I appreciate that. So the answer is not always yes to them, but they appreciate my honesty and candor. Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to kind of share with this group that you need them to hear from your perspective that maybe hasn't been considered, or your opportunity to, so they can carry your voice back?
My boss told me don't end up on CNN.
All right. We'll protect you. Yeah.
No, I have no comment.
I have no comment.
Well, one thing that I will share that I have noticed in the last couple of years being in positions of senior enlisted and being on staff positions, that's what I'll share, is being on staff positions, is for a while there I felt as I was coming up through the ranks, probably as a petty officer and a chief petty officer, a lot of policies would come out that had to do with our enlisted sailors. It really applied to enlisted sailors, and I never knew if there was a senior enlisted member on this decision-making panel when it came out to these decisions are going to affect enlisted sailors. Who is talking on their behalf? I know sometimes when we set up these panels and working groups, we go to leadership to ask them those questions and to get the feedback. But my concern as a chief petty officer, as a senior chief petty, and maybe even as a master chief, because again, I'm operational, I'm out to sea, I don't know. I just get the feedback after the fact. Who was there at the table, on the panel, in the working group, speaking on behalf of these enlisted sailors that make up over 75% of the force? I didn't know. But now that I have had the opportunity to serve on 3 staffs, I am asked now. Or I'm comfortable with saying, okay, I understand that this is where we're going. Who is at the table representing our enlisted sailors? What master chief, what force master chief, what fleet master chief is on that panel? If there's crickets, they will always say, you're right, we did not, we need to get somebody on that. And I can appreciate that, because after the train has left the station and is getting ready to pull in to the next stop and the decision is made, I can't raise my hand because it's too late then. Please allow me, and I've seen that shift, to be a part of the conversation, okay? So we can have a better voice to make sure that we are, that's what I'm here for. My responsibility, and that's why Admiral Van Buskirk hired me. What's the enlisted sailor think about this? How is this going to affect the enlisted sailor? How hard is their job going to be now if we do this, Fleet Master Chief? And I appreciate that, so I do see that happening more often now.
Okay, great. Anybody else comment?
Yeah, I have 2 comments, actually. We've talked a lot today, and we've heard a lot today about sexual assault. But I want to talk to you about sexual assault in terms of I believe that our services can solve this problem. I believe that each and every one of us in this audience will be the contributors to solving these issues that we have with sexual assault and sexual harassment. We are the voices for that, and I truly believe our services will be able to conquer this issue. The second thing that I'd like to leave with you is that we do have some sailors, airmen, or Marines that do get into trouble. We all know that, we all recognize that, but I just want to reemphasize, these are our military brothers and sisters until the day they leave. and they're still our shipmates. They're still our fellow Marines. And I just want to reemphasize that we need to treat them with dignity and respect all the way through, whatever they're going through, because they're still contributors, they're still earning a paycheck, and we need to make sure that they are earning that paycheck, and we do that with respect and dignity.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and open it up to some questions from the audience. So it looks like we have somebody right on deck already, so go ahead.
Just because I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, well,
No, I'm
the
just
heads are
kidding.
down this way then. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Good afternoon, ladies. I think this is really great that you're sitting up there, too. It is a long time coming. For me, I'm Captain Tracy Barkheimer. I'm down at Pax River. I'm in acquisition. I've been there for about 16 years with 3 years off the base there. And I don't have access to a lot of senior enlisted folks down there, let alone impressive senior enlisted women. I applaud you all for what you're doing, and I applaud you for your service, because I would not be who I am today without mentors like you, particularly when I was coming up as a junior officer. I still respect JO training. I just now call it SO training. And I look forward to it as much as possible. I know you love the services as much as I do, otherwise you wouldn't be in this long. So I'm going to ask you a question that may put you on the spot, and I thought that Fleet Master Chief DeRosa was going to take my question from me before. Many times when you have people on staff, like I'm in, I find that my peers tend to forget where they came from. I drive a desk now. I don't drive a helicopter anymore. I haven't been out to sea in forever, but I'm supposed to be delivering weapons for our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to go to war with. And I fear that many of us forget what it's like to be in the fleet. My biggest concern and my biggest fear right now is sexual harassment in the military. There's a part of me that is shocked that we still have this problem after 26 years in the Navy. What are we doing wrong? If you had to tell in a non-attributional way senior leadership today, the folks that are in the Pentagon that may be there for some time, that don't remember what it was like or weren't there when a lot of this stuff is happening, are we disconnected at the senior level? Do we just not have a clue what's going on down in the ranks? And if you had the opportunity to tell us at the senior level, or give us a report card on how we're doing, because we're now implementing all these fixes. Gee, I've seen these same fixes before. What the heck are we doing? We gotta do something different. So if you had the opportunity in a non-attributional way, hopefully nobody's gonna put this on CNN, you know, what would you tell us? What would you tell me if I was the Secretary of the Department of Defense? What would you tell me I'm doing wrong? And are we about to get it wrong again? Thank you.
I would say, don't create another program, another CBT. Honestly, we've tried that. We've tried that with suicide. We have, across DOD, I think the last stat I heard was 900 to 1,000 programs about suicide, yet it's still happening. So I don't think that the programs are great. That's one piece of it. But we have to focus on the relationships. That's really what's going to change our culture. If you give me another program, it's white noise. We were talking about that. It's another CBT I have to complete, or another forum that I have to attend. And like I said, those things are great, but we have to focus on the relationship. We have to get from behind our desks, get off our emails, get off our text messages, and do some. This is my Facebook. I'm gonna get. I like you. Okay. I feel like that's the only way we're going to turn the corner. We have to go back to the old school. When you were assigned to a unit, you had to do a smart card. You had to tell me what your hobbies were, or what your nickname is, where your family is, and things like that. And that was important because it created a bond. I use sports. I love sports. So when I'm talking to my troops, I talk about the football game or the basketball game. And people ask me, why do you do that? It's because I want them to know that I'm on their level. So if you can talk to me about sports, you're going to talk to me when you're harassed or when you've been molested or you're struggling financially or you're considering suicide. So I think we have to get back to making sure that our leaders, all of us in this room, our leaders, know how important that relationship is going to be into changing the culture in our military.
And what I will share also is, you probably have figured out by now, I'm a pretty candid type person. We have to start having those candid conversations.
Yes.
And there are some leaders, there are some people in leadership positions across the board that have a hard time with having those candid conversations. If I sugarcoat it, if I use a bunch of fluffy words, if I talk, at the 30,000, altitude level, that E3 or that E6, they're going, okay, Ann, we need to get down and say, let me tell you something, shipmate. Let's talk about who you're going out with tonight.
Yes.
Let's talk about if y'all decide to go into that hotel room, all 7 of y'all. Let's have that conversation. Who's your shipmate? And I had this conversation today, and I'm going to share something with you. If me and Ronnie, if we're going out tonight to the club, me and Ronnie are coming back to the room from the club, okay? Ronnie doesn't get to tell me, no, I'm gonna hang out. He's looking back. No, Ronnie, if I'm not getting none, you ain't getting none. We going back to the doggone ship together. We need to have those conversations. You don't know him, he don't know you. Where you know? She can cuss you out, she can be kicking and screaming. I don't care. We're leaving. No, I'm not leaving you up in here. I got duty tomorrow. You got to come back. But I don't care. We came here together and we're leaving together. But like Chief was saying, this Facebook thing, this interaction thing, well, shoot, she grown, I'm gonna let her do what she wanna do. No. See, that's when we have to take ownership of shipmates, airmen, Marines, taking care of each other. Bring your tail on and let's go home.
That's right.
Period. That's the conversations we need to have.
I just have to say, she is 100% right. And our male counterparts are afraid to have that relationship, to have that conversation with young ladies, because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to say, that skirt is too short. Now, I know what you're gonna say, that doesn't give anyone a right to harass me. You're absolutely right. However, you still need to have that conversation. You can't go out and get totally drunk and expect something bad not to happen. Anything, you could hit somebody in a car, you could get molested, anything could happen. But we have to have that old school type of leadership to be able to pull women to the side, and I do it all the time. Any of my young ladies from Langley will tell you, oh my God, here comes Chief King. She's gonna tell me my skirt is too short, she's gonna tell me my hair is too long, and I just think we're afraid to have that no kidding conversation. And I tell my male chiefs, you need to pull those guys to the side and tell them, keep their hands off of women. Don't talk to women that way. Don't create a culture that makes it okay. That's the type of leadership we need today.
Does that answer your question, Captain? No, she didn't.
Kind of. I love listening to you, so it doesn't matter. No, I work in an environment with, I guess in my command I have 350 civilians and CSS, and maybe 6 military, that's it. And I think that in today's environment, with the lawsuits and the accusations and all that other crap, that I see, if I were to say that to even one of my civilians, and I have had to say that about their dress and stuff, I get in trouble for it. I'm like in trouble because that's my opinion, telling them something different than the civilian dress code or whatever. And I think we're all so risk adverse, even at the highest levels, that we're afraid to actually do that old school leadership, which is so needed. So how do we I think we need to reward the people that are doing that and not punish them. And many times when we put that leadership, those tactics into place nowadays, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to go tell a 21-year-old gal that her skirt's too short. It's not too short for her. It's not too short for that generation, but it's too short for, you know, basic common sense when it comes to maybe older people like me. I don't know what the answer is. I just wanted to hear what you had to say because I never get to hear you guys talk, so thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Can I throw a question onto that, or I mean, make a comment? My comment back is your organization, do you consider your organization professional?
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
That's point one. We're a professional organization. Two, what are your organizational values? And are those behaviors in alignment with the organizational values, with the service values? And you can always bring it back home to those things. Are we professional? Because professionals act a certain way. And are those people acting professionally? And then two, are they acting in alignment with our organizational values? Because they're posted, right? You got your mission statement, we got our values, right, for command. And then we have our service values, honor, courage, commitment for the Navy, Marine Corps. And it can always fall back on that. Are you in alignment? And sometimes we forget about that. We keep looking at all these other programs over here, and it comes down to, wait a minute, that civilian was not forced to work at Pax River. Each and everybody in uniform here was not forced to join the service. A condition of employment, if you will, is following these values. There you go.
Yep. Yeah,
I never got the timer. I kept where?
7,
Where do you see that?
she's doing.
There's no timer there. I said, where's my 20-minute timer?
Oh, okay. Well,
Let me take one. So,
Okay, one more question. One more question.
So we can get a question from one of our enlisted, please.
Hi there, my name is MC1 Stephanie Antosh from Fleet Combat Camera Pacific in San Diego. My question for you is that you've all been talking about mentorship and leadership, but there's also a bunch of junior personnel here today. And during a recent boots on ground deployment, I saw a lot of females, senior and junior, degrade themselves and their own value to the team professionally through actions, through their words, or just through their lack of action. I've also seen it on the ships in the past. I've been in 11 years the end of this month. I've seen it through the behavior of sexual politics. So my question is, without compromising our own values, without compromising our character as junior personnel, and without allowing the senior females around us and the mentors, potential mentors, or the people who are supposed to be leading the way for us coming up behind, how do we handle those situations when we see those females compromising their values and their own role as females within the military?
That's a good question. Just to answer it. Master Guns, this one's for you.
I think I'll take. I think you can remind them that they are to follow their core values, and if they're not in line with those core values, it's an opportunity for you or anyone else that encounters the situation to address it. I mean, it goes right back to those core values and believing in yourself. We talked about that earlier. It's important to do that. If women are degrading themselves, then we need to pull them off to the side and build them back up.
But an E2 is not going to approach an E8.
Anybody else? Take it home, Fleet. Take it home.
Well, I was trying to give my sister service here an opportunity, but she's like, if I answer this, I'm going to jail. So, but you're right. I think that we're in a culture now, though, that we're afraid to approach each other again, because if I say something to my shipmate, if I call them on their behavior, if I let them know that they have put themselves in a compromising position, then I'm jealous. Then you just mad because XYZ, fill in the blank. et cetera, and we don't want to deal with that, so we basically say, you know what, I'm not even going to deal with it. But we have to, when we talk about only 17% of our force being females in the Navy, we have to make sure that we're successful. My responsibility to you is to help you be successful for however long you want to stay in the United States Navy. And if I have to call a command master chief, yes, you know, to the side and say, what you doing? That, you're making me look bad. I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to bring us to a level where there is no, see, that's why, you know. We have to have those conversations like they talk about with our shipmates, and we have to let them know, I don't care if you get mad at me, but this is how you're acting, this is how you're looking. You said you wanted to be in charge of, you said you wanted to be the fill in the blank. I'm letting you know right now, that behavior right there is going to cause you to not have those opportunities that you're telling me that you want to have. So to my first class petty officer back there, the same thing to them petty officers. You're telling me that you want to be the LPO. You're telling me that you want to be, you know, fill in the blank. You're striving to be the Sailor of the Year. But whether you're off duty or on duty, and I said that earlier, behaving in any kind of way, somebody is watching you. Somebody is watching you. And when your name comes up on the board, surely she was at the club, backing that thing up. She's not representing, except, no. And that's the type of, you know, unfortunately, that's the type of label, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's somebody's opinion that we get, and then we find ourselves having low self-esteem. They won't choose us. Now I feel like I'm, you know, cast. So we just have to speak up. We have to be that shipmate, and whether it's not popularity, I tell chiefs mess. I tell them this, Command Master Chiefs, you are never going to walk the red carpet. You're never going to earn a Grammy Award. Quit trying to be doggone popular, and let's start leading like we're supposed to lead. Let's start being shipmates like we're supposed to be. Let's start making sure, if I don't tell you that you're jacked up, guess what? You continue to act in a way that's jacked up. So we need to confront those people. So where are you? Raise your hand. That's the last question. You got it. You just, you know what? I don't care if I don't care if they don't ever talk to you again. You tell them about themselves if they're not doing something in accordance with our Navy Corps values. You check them. Uniform jacked up, tell them. Need to lose some weight, let them know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you so very much. And I think we're getting the hook now. Please, you know, if you see any one of these outstanding leaders out in the P-Way, they'll be more than happy to have some chat time with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.